Welcome to episode 51 of Hanging by a Thin Thread. I'm Shelley and this is Ruby. We're both from the Kansas City area. This is our podcast where we talk about all things fiber related, including knitting, sewing, crochet, spinning, weaving, and occasionally sewing. I wanted to begin by showing you my model here on my finished object I made for her. This is a granny square coat, and I used obviously a lot of grays and burgundy as the main featured colors on this. These are Ruby's colors. I think they look really good on her. If you're into color theory, Ruby is definitely winter season. So anyway, I wanted to begin by showing you how she looked in it. I'm going to go into more detail about how I made this because I didn't have a pattern. What happened is I saw a Pinterest picture a friend of mine forwarded to me of someone making a similar sweater for their dog in multicolored squares. And I felt for Ruby, the gray and the burgundy would be, really cute on her. So that's where I got it. I didn't have a set pattern. But at the end of the video, I am going to go into more details about how I made this. So if you would like to make one for your dog, or I even suppose cat, you could get the idea of how I did it by my description here at the end. So usually I have a spot here where I talk about whatever tea or coffee I'm drinking. And as many of you know, I do drink coffee and tea. But I wanted to talk about a change I might be making next year in terms of my tea drinking. I've always preferred bags simply because of convenience. Bob bought me this cute little coffee tea bag mug many years ago. I think it's been almost 10 years ago. And this has been my favorite little combination, tea brewer and cup. And it even has a lid. He got this for me years ago from an Etsy seller that is no longer in business. But I think I will be switching instead to loose leaf tea this year, maybe even starting immediately, because I've been reading articles about how some of the bags that I use, including some of the brands I use, may contain or do contain some plastics in the little microfiber plastics to seal the bag, even though the bag's paper in many cases. And then some of them actually have a plastic bag itself, like those little triangle tea things. So I decided I'm going to have to switch over to either using an infuser or one of these little filters and change the way I'm making my tea, drinking loose leaf instead of bag tea. There are some brands, as I understand it, some of the better brands, and I won't go into brands, and I give you a disclaimer here, I'm no medical expert, but I stopped using a Keurig several years ago because I was concerned about the plastics, the fact that the hot water was going through plastic. So anyway, that's a change I'm going to be making. I'm going to be moving to loose leaf tea, which my sister has been doing for a long, long time. And when she gives me tea gifts, it's always loose leaf tea. So I'm going to need to be really moving toward that. And so I just thought I would mention that in case any of you want to check out your own tea options. I think that's what I will be moving to. And I'll tell you more about that once I start doing that, maybe on the next podcast. So if any of you have favorite loose leaf tea sources, let me know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Now I want to talk about, these are last year's Christmas socks I made, and this is Hobie yarn. It's really cool, glittery gold flecks through the socks. And I think they even have their Christmas yarn on sale right now. I didn't buy any this year because there is, a tariff now on it, which they can't help. That's just part of, what they have to charge now. But I did those last year. I really like them. I'm wearing them this year. I've already started wearing them. But I'm now going to be doing an advent for this year's all through December. I want to show you this cute little bag. Some of you may remember it from a couple of years ago in 2023. I went to Sin City Knits in Las Vegas, Nevada, one of my favorite little shops. She's been there for years and years. And Debbie is a Kansas City native, but she became a transplant over there couple of, maybe 30 years ago even, I don't know. But this is a little bag that she made, and she made this herself and sells in her shop. It says Upcycled Sin City Knits Shop Closet. I don't know if you can purchase these online from her, but I really enjoy this bag. And this year, and she includes a little paper foot too, to help you measure as you go. But what I'm going to be doing, I'll show you here. This is Cozy Knitter, her Advent. And these are the colors. It's kind of like, it's hard to see in this. I'll put up a picture of the skein before I wound it. But there are greens and blues and purples and all kinds of different, a little bit of yellow, all kinds of different colors, not traditional Christmas colors. But I'm going to be making these for the Christmas Advent all through. I have my little Sock Notions bag in here. And I'll show you what I've decided to do is to, here we go, cast on the tip toe of the sock. I've only done one so far. Today I'm going to make the second one. I'm going to do 2 socks at once, and each day my goal is to do a stripe on each sock. So because she is nicely divided up between 2 skeins, it will be easy for me to do 2 socks at once, and hopefully I'll get them done in the month of December. So maybe by the end of December, I'll have a pair of socks to show you. And I'm really excited about that. And what I'm using for a pattern, I'm going to do these toe up, and I'm going to use the Trusty Toe Up Socks by Tanis Lavallee, or Lavallee, I don't know how you say her name. I'll put up a link in case any of you would like to try that. I think it might be easiest to do toe up, when we're doing stripes like that. And this pattern has an option of either a short row heel or an afterthought heel. I will be trying the short row heel. I've done afterthought heels before, but I think that I'll be doing that. And the white yarn, it looks almost like snow, glistening snow. Now I'm trying to find the yarn here, but I don't see it right off the bat. But it's a glistening snow, just like the toe I just showed you. I'm going to have that be the heel. And so, and I think the stripes will go all the way up. But I'll let you know how that's going. Maybe on the next podcast, I'll be partially finished. We'll see when I do my next podcast. But I wonder what you're doing this year. Are you making any Christmas socks of any kind? Are you doing an Advent of any kind, whether it's a sock knitting one or some other type? There's all different types, of course, of different Advents that people can do. One thing I have decided, usually I don't make a lot of Christmas gifts, but I have decided this year that I'm going to make my sister a shawl because she does love shawls. She's given me shawls that are cloth shawls that she's purchased for me. And I am decided I'm going to make her one, and I decided on using Cascade Superwash yarn so that it would be a little bit more, launderable for her. I know that she has washed hand knits before by hand. She knows to put them in the sink and not put them in the washer and dryer. Washer and dryer. Started to say washer and dryer. But she knows kind of in general how to handle hand knits, I believe. But I just think for the ease of washability, I am going to make it a Cascade Superwash. And I'll show you, the Golden Hour is an Andrea Mowrey pattern on Andrea Knits that she put out back in, I think, 2019. This is not a new pattern. It's been around for 5 or 6 years. But I want to show you there's usually 3 different yarns that are used, and these are worsted weight. You can use DK or worsted. I'm using the Cascade 220 Superwash wool. So what I have chosen is, one of the colors is charcoal, this color. Then I chose this kind of creamy white. And then there is this beautiful kind of Japanese maple type color. And finally, a burgundy. Normally, this is made with 3 yarns, and I was originally going to go with just these 3. But then I decided it might be really pretty since she wears a lot of burgundy also. She wears a lot of fall colors. That it would be nice to have this in the very bottom section, the burgundy. It's kind of a reddish burgundy. So hopefully she will enjoy wearing a shawl like that. I'll find out. I'm going to send her a book with it and then this cozy shawl and maybe some loose leaf tea. Since I'm joining her in the loose leaf tea preference, I'm going to maybe do those things. I think it'll make a nice gift. So let me know if you're making Christmas gifts this year, and if so, what you're making, who you're making it for, and hopefully I'll be able to do that. Since it's a worsted weight shawl, hopefully I'll be able to get it done in the month of December, because I would like to get it and mailed off to her in time for Christmas. But that's my main focus right now, those 2 projects. Everything else I've kind of put on the back burner. And I will tell you also that I have put aside the leg warmers. We had started to make leg warmers, Carolyn and I and Judy, and we decided, Carolyn and I put aside because they weren't turning out real well. Not because of the pattern, but for me it was because I was having trouble with the cables hurting my wrists, my hands. And it took a lot of effort to pay attention closely to the detail. And in this time of year, I like to just do more kind of mindless knitting. So it was kind of causing me both hand pain and brain pain working on it. So I put those aside. I may try to make another pair of leg warmers later on after the Christmas season. I might get back to that. But I just want to let you know that those have been scuttled. I wanted to mention, in speaking of the cable leg warmers that we ripped out, Carolyn and I ripped ours out, or at least I did, and I think she's not going to proceed with hers. But Judy, in the group, the 3 of us were doing them together. Carolyn and I were using our walnut dyed yarn, and Judy was using some, I believe it was Donegal tweed. But she finished 1 leg warmer so far, and I think she's going to be working on the 2nd. I think she is going to proceed with hers. But I wanted to put up a picture of hers because it really is well done, and wanted you to see, for anybody that was interested in possibly doing cable leg warmers, these are what they would look like. And Judy's a really good knitter, and I think that she did a good job of kind of demonstrating what the pattern can look like for those that want to proceed with them. For me, I also want to comment on what I intend to do with that walnut dyed yarn, because I do have 3 small skeins of it that I think would be perfect for making fingerless gloves. And I need fingerless gloves always at this time of year as we're getting chilly, and I start walking Ruby out in the cold air. I like to have some fingerless gloves. These ones I'm going to probably cast on soon are the cabled fingerless mitts. It's a free knitting pattern by Carissa Browning. And so for me, that would be something that I would actually wear and use and would make good use of the yarn. If there is enough yarn left, then I might also consider a hat to go with it. I don't wear hats as much, but you know, you never know. So if I could find a hat to go with it, especially a simple cabled hat, then I might make a set. That's one of the plans I have for my walnut dyed yarn. The shawl that I am wearing, I actually completed last November, right about this time. And it's a 2-row, it's actually called 2-row crochet shawl by Bagaudet Crochet. There is no pattern, but it is a free tutorial by Crystal at Bagaudet Crochet, and I'll put a link for you. I completed this last year, and I've worn it so many times since. Now that it's fall again, it's getting chilly, even in my house, because I keep my temperature pretty low to save on utilities. So having a shawl like this that slips through the holes and stays put is an ideal shawl for me to wear around the house. In episode 38, that's where I first talked about making this shawl, and again, it was last year. So you can take any variegated yarn. I use the Hobie Tea Time, and this is the color Pour, P-U-H-R, in Hobie's yarn. But you can honestly use any yarn that you have in your stash, and it's a great stash buster for variegated yarns. It has very large holes in the texture, a great textured piece, and it tends to be on this pattern longer, much longer in the wingspan than it is in the spine. So your spine is only like 30 inches long, but your width can be as long as you want it. You can keep on making it if you want it longer. But anyway, I like this shawl a lot, and the thing I like most about it is how easy it is to wear. Putting it through the holes and having it be this size that it is just covers my shoulders, keeps me warm, and doesn't need a lot of futzing. I can do other things and never lose my shawl. It stays right in place, and I think it looks attractive the way it wraps through and tucks through the holes. Yesterday was Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, and so I decided to go to my local knit shop called Knit Craft in Independence, Missouri, and this is where I first actually learned to knit in 2003. So it's one of my home knit shops that I really enjoy, and they were having their Black Friday sale. Now, as you know or may know, I have been trying to destash for the last several years, and I've done a really good job of getting rid of a lot of excessive yarn in my stash that I wasn't using. So I now have a manageable amount of stash, but I did want to go check out their sale, so I joined my friend Carolyn there, and also I met a lady who I have known only through podcasts. She has a podcast, I'll tell you, it's called Fancy Fiber Forum Donna. Her name is Donna. And for the first time, I actually met her in person and really enjoyed meeting her. We shopped together, and we had our little baskets that we were filling. And then later, when we got back to the table, Carolyn and I in particular, as well as I had some help from some other friends there too, including Donna. But we went through this little cart I had because I do have a limited budget, and I didn't want to just bring home yarn that I wouldn't use. I wanted to actually think about, before I made this purchase, of what I was going to actually use. Because it's not enough just to be on sale or be a good deal. I really want to know that I will have a project in mind for it. So what I ended up selecting, I'm going to share with you right now. I realize that mostly what I make and wear on a daily basis, the items that I actually put into use are my socks and my shawls. Those are the things I wear consistently. And so I decided to go with, out of all the things I picked and put back, the thing I decided to keep were two different sock yarns. I have these particularly in mind for socks. One is a pinky, bright pink, obviously, and has little shades of lime green and a charcoal color, a kind of gray that's very pretty, and a little bit looks like lime cream. Anyway, it's a very pretty color. And then this is both of these are Araucania. I don't know if you pronounce it Araucania or how that is. And then Huasca sock yarn. Pardon my pronunciation, but this is the purple that I always wear and love. It has a little shade, a little surprise of turquoise in it. And so these two yarns I couldn't resist. I will put them into use eventually with sock knitting, hopefully this year. I think these would make great comfort core socks, the favorite Summer Lee pattern of mine that I really enjoy. And so that's what my plan is for this yarn. Then this is my third and last purchase yesterday. This is Happy Feet Splash, and the color is Tuscan Spice. I love that color name too. It really fits this. This has is cream, teal, and burgundy. And this was also on sale. I really like this for a kind of a shawlette or a scarf, not too much different from the size I have on, maybe a slightly smaller. I did find a display in the store of a pattern that I may end up making with this, but I definitely have a use for this. It could be made into socks, but I don't think that socks are what I want to do with it. I think it's going to be something small and cute and warm around the shoulders. A scarf or a shawlette is what I have in mind for that. So I was really proud of myself that I did pick things that I would actually use and not just grab things up that were appealing to me. I did grab them up and put them in my basket at first, and it kind of gave me an insight into myself and the things that I like to make and why it is that I was attracted to different yarns that I put in the basket. But then editing it down with my friends' kind of suggestions and guidance really did help me get focused on what I would actually use and not just throw in the closet to add to my stash. Another thing that I'm going to talk about when I talk about projects and thinking about projects I might want to make in the new year, because I have my word re-inspire. And so projects that would inspire me are really important as well, especially since I am now retired, or as I say, re-inspired. I want to make the good use of the craft time that I have on my hands. And so I think that even though last year I decided to opt out of the Make 9 list, because I felt very pressured and stressed last year, busy working and so forth. So 2025 was not my year to worry about a Make 9 list. But looking forward to 2026, I think this would be a good time and a good year to start refocusing again on the projects that I would really want to do. And I don't want to limit myself to 9. The whole concept of Make 9 is, to me, both kind of limiting and, I just don't think I need that. I think I will just call it my re-inspirement list. And so that's what I'm starting to put together. I have a few items already in it, and I'm going to be thinking about those projects that would really, inspire me and make me want to work on them. Some are smaller projects, and others are larger, long-term projects. So I'll be sharing that list with you more in the new year, either toward the very end of this year or probably more like in January. So start thinking yourself about what projects would you like to work on for next year, and do you find a Make 9 type list something that helps you or something that would just be, unhelpful to you. So let me know what your thoughts are on that. If you have kind of a future list, the important thing I think for me, since I don't make my living at crafts, but I just enjoy them, it's very important for me to have a passion for the projects and to think of it as more of an inspiration list rather than a to-do list. In the meantime, I'd like to share a book that I'm reading currently. I haven't finished it yet, but I'm really enjoying it. And in case you want a good holiday read, and if you love cozy mysteries, this is a really good idea. There are 7 total Christmas stories that Donna Andrews has done in her 27 or 28 books in this series. And the name of the series is the Meg Langslow Mystery Series. This one is called Gift of the Magpie, The Gift of the Magpie, and it features not only the main character, Meg Laslow, I keep calling her Laslow, but it's Langslow, not only herself, but her whole family, her mother, grandmother, the whole clan is involved in doing good for the community. They have a little group, a volunteer group they call the Do-Gooders. Let me see what it's called. I want to call it the Do-Gooders, but that's not it. It's like Helping Hands. Yeah, Helping Hands. Helping Hands for the holiday. And they're doing a project. They help others that need help or need things done, whether it's building a ramp for a handicapped person or whatever needs done to help other people in need. This year, they've decided to help the town's local hoarder. And the man has requested help in, decluttering his home. So several of the family members have gotten involved in helping this man, and in the process, he is murdered. So then the shift goes from helping him declutter to finding things that might be clues to his murder. So it's just one of those fun, cozy, Christmassy kind of books that I find very satisfying. And I know my mom is even enjoying reading this right now. So I think that this is something you might want to check out. It's one of these that you can read independently. You don't have to start at the first book of the series to read all of it. I had never read this series before, so we started with a book very late in the series, but it's still, you can identify and figure out the characters. There are a lot of characters, but you can figure them out quickly, and you don't have to read the previous mysteries in order to find this story very enjoyable. So if you're looking for a light Christmas read, this is one that I suggest. As I said, I did not have a pattern for the granny square coat that I made for Ruby. So what I did do, there's one pattern that you can get off of Ravelry called the Heirloom Stitches. I said it wrong. Heirloom Stitches pattern, traditional granny square. That can be, it's a free pattern. I did use that for the basic square, and it's actually one that I often use for my granny square. Anytime I do a granny square, this is the one I often use. As I told some of you, I bought the granny square card deck. The front of the card has the picture of the granny square you're making. But the back of the card, instead of having written instructions, it just has a crochet chart. And so when I discovered that, because I was going to make her granny square, coat using one of those squares. But when I discovered that it does not have the written instructions, it does have a key in here in the instructions. But I'm going to have to read that and figure out how to use those cards. And I did run across an article I'd clipped for, this is from Interweave Crochet Fall of 2021, that says Crochet Charts Demystified. So hopefully by reading this article and reading the instructions at the beginning of that book, of that deck, I'll be able to figure out how to read the instructions and use it more. But in the meantime, I decided to just use the traditional Heirloom Stitches pattern for the granny square. And what I had to decide, because the original granny square I made was too large. I used a 5.5 needle at the beginning hook. It was too large, and the square I was making was too large. I was doing 4 rounds, and that made the square like 5.5 inches wide, which was way too big for sweet little Ruby. The way I did this was make 3 panels of 3 by 3 inch squares for her. One on the side, one on the top, and one on the other side. And that's what ended up working for her size, because she's 10 inches long. This leaves a little bit here at the back that isn't covered up, because you don't want you want the back to end right about here so that, the coat stays clean. You don't want it dragging around. And then on the bottom, I did make 2 bigger squares that were 4 rounds, and I used that larger hook size of the 5.5. But I ended up going down to a 3.5 to make these little squares for my crocheting, but you may have to experiment and see what works for you. I also made 3 squares in the front to, it makes it kind of 3D. I'll put up a picture of how it is. So I ended up making the 9 squares for the body first. Then I sewed those together, and I added on 3 squares coming from this, and I'll show you the picture of what it is. But it becomes 3D by putting these 3 squares in the front. And for her, it still was a little bit too big, so I had to tuck it in by 1 inch and put a button on it. But that's what worked for me. Now on the bottom, I ended up making 2 larger squares and then I hooked them with buttons. There are 2 buttons that holds it in place nicely, snugly on her body. And I put it toward the middle, right after this arm piece here. The arms are covered up by this piece that goes around, and it leaves holes for the arms. But on the bottom, there are 2 larger pieces hooked by a button, because that makes it easier to get on the dog. The front piece isn't really a true button. This is just put over her head. See? This is not an actual button, right, baby? See? It's just a piece that goes over her head. That's what I put on is the first piece when I put it on her. And then I put the body on, and then I button the bottom. So that's how I made it. And the yarn I used, I'm going to set you down a minute, sweet pea. The yarn I used is Hobby Lobby acrylic because I wanted it to be washable. It's called Yarn Bee Mini Maker. And I really like this yarn because it is 65 yards, 65 yards, and it comes in all different colors. So you can make whatever you want, but what I like is you don't have to buy a full big skein of this. And it's 99 cents per ball, so it's a real economical thing too. I have all kinds of colors here in this yarn, and so I think it would make, you know, beautiful whatever you want to make, an Afghan, or if you just want little bits and don't want to have to buy whole balls, because, you know, economically right now we're all trying to save money. So I think if you're wanting to make anything acrylic and you just need different colors in small amounts, this is great yarn to use. And again, this is Yarn Bee's Mini Maker, 99 cents. And I actually got a sale the week I bought these. I happened to catch a sale where it was like even 10 cents cheaper per ball. So I bought several of the balls, but I thought that was a really good deal. Again, making a granny square coat for a dog or a cat is just a matter of knowing the measurements of your dog. My dog is 10 inches long, 10 inches around the neck, and 16 in her chest girth. So, and of course, trying it on as you go. The good thing with granny squares is you can just, you know, sew them as you go and try them on, and they're individual little modular units. So there's no set pattern that I used. I hope this is helpful. Let me know if you've ever tried to make a dog sweater for your dog, and maybe you have some favorite patterns. But this is just one I saw, immediately thought it was so cute and wanted to make one for Ruby. So let me know if you've ever made one for your dog or cat and if you used a pattern. But that's it. It was really a pretty simple process. Well, we've come to the end of this podcast. Until next time, I want to say, as I always do, love what you're making and wear what you make. Till next time, bye everybody, and happy holidays.